We start or we wait?
Hi. Yes.
Happy morning, everybody. Bindu ma'am, over to you for you to start with SSRVM.
Just a moment. I can't see the. All right. You don't want to wait anymore, no, for more to join?
I think we already have some 42 plus school logins already.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Fine. Take care. All right.
Yes, there you go.
Jai Gurudev. That's the way we greet everyone at the Art of Living and SSRVM. Jai Gurudev to one and all. Good morning. I can't see the faces, but yes, good morning to everyone present here today. I'm sure there would be a lot of excited faces on the screen, and can imagine how excited all are and waiting for us to hand over to the guest. But before that, there are a few minutes. So, we need to take a few minutes. So please hold on. Yeah. So on behalf of the SSRVM Trust, I extend a very warm welcome to our guest for the session, the prolific author, Mr. Kevin Missel. It is indeed my honor and pleasure to welcome you, Mr. Kevin. A very, very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for giving SSRVM this exclusive time to interact with you. Really, really appreciate it. I also welcome our parents, because we've sent this to parents as well, okay? I also welcome our parents, students, directors, principals, and teachers who are eagerly waiting for this session to actually start. A very, very warm welcome to you. I take this opportunity also to welcome Ms. Nagma and team from Freadom. A very warm welcome to you. Many of you are already using the Freadom app, isn't it? Yes, Nagma is for part of that team. A very warm welcome to you and team Nagma. A warm welcome to Nikhilji, if he's there, and his team, because I do not know if he's not there. Okay. Who is the founder of Stones to Milestones. Just for the information of all, this session is organized by Freadom, the ultimate English learning platform, which is an initiative by Stones to Milestones. So a warm welcome to all of you. And before, I don't want to take much time. I'll just hand over for the proceedings to Nagma and team, and after that to Mr. Kevin. Warm welcome once again to all.
Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. Happy morning to the entire SSRVM team, and I can see that we have more than so Kevin, just good morning to you, by the way.
Good morning.
And we have schools also joining in directly today. The classrooms directly, there is a casting going on, and we have a lot of students directly joining in from the classes. As of now, those whoever have joined in, you are on a webinar and you do not have much accesses, but I'll keep checking on the participation number and give access to all of you. So as soon as you get your access, it will be great if you can switch on your video as well, so that this can actually be interactive. So are we good to go? All the participants, even though you are on an attendees, you do have access for thumbs up, hand raise, and we really want the session to be interactive. So in between, anywhere you want to grab hold of Kevin and ask some questions to him, please go ahead and ask, because we really, really, really want this event to be interactive. I can see before we even start, there is a hand raise from Sonali. So before I even give the author the chance to talk, Sonali, is there something that you would want to share with Kevin before we start?
Someone also wrote, can I know what is the best fictional book you wrote? So,
That's great. There you go. Sonali, you have permission to talk right now. I thought it will be great to hear from one of the students, teachers / parents before we even start. Do you want to unmute and talk? Okay, Sonali isn't talking. I'm removing the permission. So just a few instructions, dear participants. All of you have access to the Q&A section. All of you have access to hand raises. So any questions you want to keep popping in, Kevin will be able to see it. So you can keep typing in your questions in between. And like I said, depending upon, I'll keep seeing how many participants are coming in. And accordingly, I'll give access to everybody of you. So not further
So
ado,
I'll just answer what is the best fictional book I wrote. I don't know. It's very subjective. I can't. It's like choosing, which child you like the most. It's very tough. Very tough. But I think I feel that one of the best books I've written is personally is Karna. Though Kalki is also really fun. So I think, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I've read both these books and I know for a fact these both are amazing. So over to you, Kevin. If you can start with a small background to how you became an author, because today we have with us a lot of schools, we have a lot of kids, and as far as I understood from the school, a lot of them have already read your books, and the younger kids have read Sinbad, and the older kids who are into reading, and SSRVM Trust has been amazing in all these activities. You have a huge supporters of literary work as well. So a lot of them has already read your work. So I think it would be great if we can start off with just understanding your background. Where do you come from? What did you do? And how did you end up writing your book?
I think I don't come from a writing background at all. I think my mother was a poet, definitely, but none of my family members, none of from my bloodline was ever a writer. Um, I hated books till the age of 12. You should not understand what's the entire point of books. But I still kind of fell in love with it, with the idea of stories. I used to love stories. I used to love creating and understanding movies, reading comics. Those were the fun times. And then eventually, what happened was I happened to read this chapter of Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, and I just fell in love with the entire storytelling, and I realized that yeah, this is if he can write it, why can't I? That sense of arrogance that came into me, which was a very good arrogance because it helped me write my first book called The Damon Black, The Battle of Lost Ages. It was a total ripoff of a Percy Jackson series. Really bad book, but really enjoyable in terms of, you still had that early flavors of what I write today now. That sense of, heroism, the sense of uplifting tones, and grand villains and grander heroes, all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, from there onwards, I just continued to write more and more, and definitely failed miserably as well. Didn't get published for a long time, but somehow got my first footing as a writer with Kalki. And yeah, I think the rest is history. It did really well and sold over 300,000 copies.
And that's amazing. So I think related to this, there's also the small quick question that came in that they ask, what gave you an idea of becoming an author? So is that something more that you can add on to your introduction, how you picked it up?
I think what gave you an idea to author, so it was a very simple, practical reason behind it. I wanted to be a storyteller, and being a storyteller in India, especially, is that you have to be very careful as to you can be either a filmmaker, a scriptwriter, like a novel writer. So I was like, if I become a filmmaker and I try to become a movie director and everything and all, I am dependent on a lot of people. I'm dependent on a editor of the book, the actors, everything, right? In writing stories, what was the fact was that I was dependent on myself. So I knew my strengths, my weaknesses, my everything. So I'm like, yeah, this is great. Why to bloody go to anyone else? Go to myself only and just focus on that. So that was where the entire reason came into. Yeah,
Okay,
and that's
Kevin,
why I chose to be right. Yeah. It was a practical reason.
That is true. There's an interesting question coming in about your age. So I think you should talk about your age, and also at what age did you write your first book?
I wrote my first book at the age of, I think first book was written at the age of 12, but the first book that got published was at the age of 14. Right now, my age is around 27. Yeah, I've been writing for the last 13 years, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's one question that is going to motivate a lot of your students over here today, because 12 and 14, we even have students here today who are 12 and 14, and I'm sure that's a good motivation.
I mean, I would give
So,
you one advice, guys. Write it during your summer holidays. That's the best time you can get. I know some holidays are for fun, but I think that's a really good time to utilize. Because I wrote my first book during my summer holidays. In fact, I wrote every book of mine during my summer holidays only. Even today, itni aadat ho gayi hai that I write only during summer holidays, even though I don't have anyone.
but do you even have a summer holiday now? And how do you
No,
manage that time?
I don't. So I try to find holidays and then I write it during that time.
So this was in fact a question I wanted to ask also. Given that you started off at a young age, and even today, I mean, I'm not sure if a lot of people know that, but then along with being an author, Kevin is also an entrepreneur. He has his own publishing house, he has his own marketing agency for authors. So how do you actually build this time? So even for our students also, currently they might be in schools, but then obviously you know how the Indian parents can also be a little bit more focused on academics, and this is definitely something extracurricular. So how do you advise that, apart from the holidays, of course holidays is one, how do you advise that people pick up habits of reading? Is there any advice you can give to them on a day-to-day basis, something that they can do, something like that?
Habits of reading or habits of multitasking? What is?
Both reading and writing. Because as far as from the school also, they do encourage a lot of work, and Freedom would love to e-publish a lot of your work as well. So what advice can you give to the young students over here today? And even we have this thing going out on YouTube live, so parents are also watching. So what can you give them in terms of how do they start writing something somewhere, or if they are reading something, how would you suggest them to pick content?
Uh, I would say that focus on giving your best during the time you have. What problem happens is that we procrastinate a lot in terms of we'll do it easily, we'll take our time, and everything. We have to be whatever we are doing, whatever activity we are doing, whatever we have to make sure that uh, that activity is being done to its fullest capability. So it should not be just left it to do it with a half-hearted nature. It has to be done with a proper, with a lot of exuberance or a lot of excitement. And if you're able to do that, definitely, I've seen, I think people do a lot more with a lot less time, and then they do not at all anything with a lot more time as well. So you have to be the first one, the former one, rather than the latter. So be it reading, writing, you can always find time. I've written 4,000 words in 1 hour, while people take 4 years to do that. So it totally leaves up to you.
Leading to a story here from Jaival Soni. What is your favorite topic to write a story on?
Fantasy.
Why so?
Because reality is boring.
Okay, so I'm leading this question again. What kind of stories do you write, and what is the genre that you work around? That again is a question from Chinmaya.
I write mythical fantasies. And the genre that I'm working on is multi-purpose genre, I feel. I think it has action, drama, thriller, mystery, romance, everything. It's a mythical fantasy, which means that these are fantasy books inspired from our myths. So, yeah.
Great. There is a question again related from an anonymous attendee. What is your last book you wrote, and can you talk about it?
The last book I wrote was the last book that has been published, the last book that I wrote.
It's written wrote here, but ideally for common people like us, I think published works.
Yeah, true. The last book I wrote, published, was Sinbad 3, The Rise of Iblis. It's the third part of the Sinbad series, and I'm really fun at it. It's kind of like my answer to multiverse of Marvel cinema, Marvel entertainment, everything. The idea is that Sinbad travels across different dimensions to find 3 artifacts which don't exist in his own world. How he meets the alternate versions of himself, alternate versions of his crew, and basically just going at it, fighting the big bad villain, and solving.
Pardon?
Yes. Ritvik Mishra, right? Yeah, I think.
Ritvik, do you have a question?
I think he left. Yeah.
Cool. So that's
Yeah.
very
I mean,
ah.
that's what Sinbad is all about.
So there is also a question from Jaiwal again asking which is your most popular book and how did it get popular?
How did it get popular or published?
Popular.
I think my most popular book is Kalki. Did really well. How did it get popular? I have no idea. I wish I knew so I can replicate it in every book of mine. I think,
Definitely.
I think, I think, I think, I believe that a book's success depends on, I think, two things or three for that matter. First thing definitely is that the right timing, obviously the right content at the right time, and luck.
Definitely.
And luck, to be honest, luck plays a huge part. So I think while I can say that, hey, you know what, work hard, but I think if you're not at the right time, you're not at the right time.
True. There is a question from Shrujana asking about what were the hardships when you're trying to write something? What are the kind of hardships you face? How do you end up overcoming that? And I would like to add to it the hardships along with your personal during your writing journey. Can you also tell us a little bit about the publishing process and how do you go through it?
The hardships of the writing is that obviously to write. I think that's the biggest hardship one can have, which is it's very tough to kind of form your story, structure your story, build character arcs. I think the solution to that is definitely. I remember I used to write like an amateur a long time back. I remember that my colleagues and everything, my peers from my school and everything, they used to go like, this book sounds a little weird, it doesn't read the way normal books do. And because the reason why, because I didn't know how to write. And the only solution to that is that you continue to write bad books till the time you find a good one. So our writing is a discipline. You have to sit at it. You have to understand it. You have to research about it. I researched a lot. My writing is kind of like a culmination of a lot of other writers out there. I have a little bit of a Dan Brown in me. I have a little bit of a Rick Riordan in me. I have so all those authors that have really inspired me to write books kind of somehow find a part of me while I'm writing a story. So definitely, I think learning, researching, understanding, and keeping it as a discipline in your life. I think if you do that, definitely you can become a very good writer. And in terms of the hardship when you face as a publishing, I think as a young kid who's writing a book, you are not taken seriously, and which is very problematic because you should be taken seriously. So my publishing house does publish young authors as well, because we don't want that the author just feels, okay, we are just doing it for the, we are just doing it. There's no faida out of it. So our entire point is that we are publishing a 14-year-old, we are publishing a 16-year-old also. So, and majorly because they have great stories to tell. Yes, definitely the book is shapeless and formless, but it can be worked on. The editor can work together with the author and everything to make it work. But that doesn't mean the book story is not. So definitely, I think one has to keep that in mind as well. So yeah, these are the hardships one can go through.
There is a related question in the box from an anonymous attendee. How do I control my patience while writing? I think this is somebody who has tried writing, but then haven't really gone through it completely. But is there anything that, like, through this entire process, because book writing is not a day's job, you take time to work on it, right? How do you manage your patience? How do you work around?
How do I manage my patience? I have no idea. I think you learn to be patient over a period of massive nervous breakdowns.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I think the opportunity to be patience comes in itself when you realize that being hasty doesn't make sense. And that only happens once you become hasty too many times that you realize the importance of patience. So I would suggest you very strong that be hasty, only then you learn patience. So yeah.
Interesting. I think that's not just for book writing related, but it's for anything that we do. Well, there's a question from Vidya. She's asking, what books of yours would you suggest for the kids from the age group of 13 to 15?
I would suggest definitely what I've read, which is Percy Jackson series. I think it's a really good fun series. You learn a lot about Greek mythology. That's good. It's interesting. I would say Pendragon series, very interesting science fiction.
Definitely.
I think Mistborn is another one. Great fantasy books. So again, I'm suggesting a lot of fantasy books, I know, but like, yeah, I mean, I feel that fantasy books holds the best form of, I would say, themes like courage, like bravery, like friendship.
True.
These are the themes that are very, very important in everyone's life, and I think it builds your character. Fantasy
Very
books
true.
help you
Very
build
true.
your character. Yeah,
Very true. I recently was seeing a reel talking about a mom asking the kid, "Why do you spend so much of time watching and reading Harry Potter? What did you learn?" And the kid is literally giving some 10, 20 reasons. I learned courage, I learned bravery, I learned friendship. I mean, there was a lot of things, obviously.
absolutely.
Harry
Yeah,
Potter, great example for sure. Is there
absolutely.
any messages, like whenever you write a book, is there like normally, do you try to give away messages as well through the book? Like, do you plan that out?
Of course, of course. I think it's my moral duty as a writer to do that. If my books are being reached to multiple thousands and thousands of readers, I think my moral duty is to definitely give them a message about certain important, facets which I believe in also, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
very important. Uh, I think noble morals, morals which really build your character again. Uh, I think fantasy is genuinely just stories of morality wrapped up in with dragons and unicorns. So
Interesting take on that piece altogether. There was this question from Shrujana again. So while you are at working on different books of yours, how do you find a good idea? And how do you recognize that something might actually work, or like, how do you work around your ideas?
you don't know what will work, and you will never
Okay.
know. You will never know what will work. You will just keep trying. I'm still trying. After Kalki, I'm still trying. What will work? What will not work? Sometimes something worked. Sometimes some. But I think what matters is that I think you should also listen to what people want to read. Understand where understand what ticks them, what makes them happy. So like a lot of readers wanted me to write on Kanna because since he's one of those
Hmm.
popular characters of Mahabharata.
True.
So and that's why I wrote Kanna, and it did well. You know, that was the last book that did really well. Now a lot of people are asking me to write on Parshuram. A lot of people are telling me to write upon Krishna. So I wrote Krishna. Krishna is releasing in November. So I think that's very important. To know exactly what takes the audience, and also you're not so sure. Even if I'm writing with Krishna, I don't know whether it will do well or not. I have no idea.
True.
But it's just a leap of faith you have to take.
How do you manage the expectations? Because a lot of your books are from already, because your genre is mythology, and most of the characters that you wrote about, like let it be Kalki, I mean, Kalki, okay, we do not know too much about that avatar because we never came across much of it. But then most of the other books that you've written, there have always been these mythological characters which we have been listening to from childhood, right? And in India, everybody. So is there a difficulty, or how do you manage that expectations, or how do you create these characters when you are writing the book, because you already know the reader has some perception of these characters in their mind, so how do you try and balance that out?
I think I mean that happened exactly with Karna. So Karna, a lot of people really loved. The Karna that
Yeah.
they read, they know about him, was exactly not in the book at all. And they were very disappointed. Like, oh, this is not my Karna. This is.
Oh.
The same thing like with Krishna as well. I know, I'm sure it will happen. Where I think I can definitely say is that Krishna and Kanda, what I did was I focused a lot on the unsaid stories, the untold stories of them. Uh, we know Krishna, for instance, we know Krishna from the days of his young days, as well as how he fought Kans Mama, how he became the guide to the entire Pandavas and everything. We know that entire story. But what we don't know the story after Mahabharata. What happened to him? How
True.
was Dwarka submerged? What happened to Balram during those days? Uh, how were the Yadavas fighting each other? Why were they fighting each other?
Yeah.
All these stories. What happened to Arjun after Mahabharata?
True.
What happened to Draupadi, for instance? So
Mm-hmm.
all these stories which were not, I would say, not told or not heard on a mass scale. if you search for it, definitely you'll find it. But on a mass
Yeah.
scale, you will not be able to know. So those stories now I'm focusing on, because that way what will happen is you'll have a fresh perspective to an already existing, figure of Mabits.
Interesting. So given that, like you exactly said, we know a lot about these stories already, and you're trying to take a fresh perspectives. Do you face questions, judgments about the characters that you're building because of the perception of the crowd?
I think you will face judgment no matter what. I think judgment is part of being a writer, to be honest. Not just
Mm-hmm.
about writing these figures, writing about these figures as well. It's about overall judgment as well. Even if I write about Sinbad, I'll have judgments. Even if I write about anything, I'll have judgments. The idea is that you
True.
have to move past, move beyond those judgments, and kind of just convey a good story. Because if you start getting wrapped up in the judgmental pool of people, then I think you'll never be able to finish a book. So because you'll always be thinking, oh, this person will not be happy with this take on the story, this person
True.
will not be happy with that you'll never be able to convey. My idea is very simple. With Krishna, for instance, my entire objective was that I wanted to write a story about a god and about a king, uh, who is tired of violence, who's tired of carnage,
Mm.
who after Mahabharata he has seen enough of it.
True.
And but he's drawn back to that world again to by the son he was distanced from, and it's a father son relationship. It's a
Mm.
genuinely a father son relationship about Krishna and his son Samba, who is very lesser known in mythology, which people don't know about. And it's basically about human drama, human relationships, and um, how our childhoods make the way we are. So if
Did you write Harry?
That is
yeah,
just incoming.
Subhashri, yes.
Did you write Harry Potter?
Did you
No,
write?
I wish I wrote Harry Potter so much. I would be a billionaire right.
There were actually multiple questions. Did you write Ramayana? Did you write Harry Potter? And in fact, there are a lot of personal questions to you, Kevin. So first one being, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Anything you would want to tell us a little more about your personal life?
I'm married. What more do you want to know?
So what are your background like? Because this is something that I think I saw in a question also. So any of your education or the upbringing that you had, did it encourage or support you or inspire you directly towards writing? Like what did you learn? What did you work on with?
Well, I think definitely. I think ever since I was a child, I was always thrown into reading
Mm-hmm.
and writing by my parents, and I think definitely, I think that continued. Yeah, I mean, my mom always wanted me to be a musician as well. She used to always throw me to Casio and guitar and everything. And I used to always never. I used to like it. I used to have a ball, but I was never a musician and everything. And somehow or the other, reading came into be. Probably because my mother was a poet, so a creative juices just came down from me. But yeah.
When did you be an author?
When did I became an author at the age of 14.
Okay.
How old are you? Who asked that question? How old are you? Let's
I'm
figure if
10
you
years
so you still have time. 10-year-old, you can still write a book. That's going to be great in that case.
Can you
Given
share?
there is yeah, go ahead.
Can you share one of your mother's poems?
I don't flow. Feeling like feather, something that was. I'll definitely share it with Nagma. Nagma can definitely share it.
Definitely.
Ahead. Yeah, definitely share it with you guys.
Cool. There is a question from a principal from
Yeah.
Vijayapura. What made you a writer? Yeah, we have been covering this. What would you suggest to the young generation to become writers? What would your suggestion be?
I would suggest tell your parents and your teachers and all the elders around you that hey, I want to meet more writers. I want more workshops to happen. I want to enroll more. I think very important. Very important.
I think that's going on so today, right? Because how do you perceive it? Because I think we have a lot of teachers and principals also on the call today. Recently, we at Freedom have started seeing a lot of schools asking for author events, workshops, writing programs, etc. But as an author who's been in this field for so many years, right? How has you seen that transition? Have you observed anything related to how academics have actually adopted into literature? Is there something that you would want to share?
I mean, this is a direct correlation that I see that a lot of young kids are reading till the class 10th, and after 10th, their parents and their teachers throw them into studies. I think
Ah,
that has to stop. I think definitely, and I'm very against it. I really tell my teachers whichever schools I go, whichever colleges I go, I
yep.
always make sure that I tell the teachers and the principals and everything that make sure that the student doesn't stop reading after 10th class, because that habit goes away because they go into academics so much that they forget the creativity of their lives, you know. So definitely, I think that is one advice I would like to give. The second advice is to have a consistency with their author events, consistency with their workshops. It should not just be a one-off event in an entire year. It should be a constant thing, because at the end of the day, books, books really sharpen your mind. Books really uh, uh, build character within you and make you a really really good member of the society as well. So
True.
definitely, I think these are the very important aspects of it. And authors are someone's people who, if kids can definitely learn from. They can definitely become writers, or they don't become writers. Third thing is definitely consider writing as a profession, not as just a hobby. Writing can be a profession. It can fetch you a lot of money, and especially today. I mean, we can definitely there's chat GPT. Definitely there's a lot of AI happening, but writer's mind will never go away. That's the workshop that will never stop. Yeah, chat GPT might create convenience for writers, but definitely this thing that can never be replicated. So yeah.
There was one question related to from Vidya related to imaginations. Do you like providing pictures in your book, or do you believe in the reader's imagination?
Our reader's imagination. But I like pictures also. I like illustrations. As a kid, I used to love
Lovely.
illustrations. So yeah, it's a mixture of both.
There's a very direct related question from Vivek Soniji. He writes comics and books. He loves it. Have you ever thought of writing comics or illustrated versions of your book?
I do, yeah. I do want to partner up with a comic book company, and I think I've been working towards it also. But it's such a hard journey because wherever I go, people say comics don't sell. So it's
Oh,
the economics of business is not working out with the comics. And
but
wherever I
isn't it
go, they say,
going up now?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I think see, you can't consider Amachitra Katha as a staple comic book company. I think Amachitra Katha is considered as a book now. It's like that. It's
Yeah.
a So it's not a comic anymore.
Mhm.
But if you look at other comic book companies, I think they hardly sell thousands copies and everything. So it's a very tough industry to crack into, and primarily because there's a lot of effort goes into it, and the pricing is very expensive, and the pricing doesn't suit the Indian audiences. Outside
Extremely.
US and UK, the comic books and graphic novels industry is a really big industry because
Yeah.
there people want to pay more for this kind of content. India mein, you're happy with a 300 400 rupees book. So if a comic book comes within that price range only, probably that way you can make them.
And
So
I don't
otherwise,
think we have 300, 400 HBO comic books right now.
it's very tough. It's very
I
tough.
think it's
It's very,
700, 800, 1,000 on an average, any series.
very tough.
Good.
I think, but there was a book called Draupadi published by Penguin. I think they did a illustrated version, but again, that was a very adult
Hmm.
book. It was not a comic book per se. Again, so and that's also we have a very lack of superheroes in modern times. There was Nagraj and there was Doga and all these
Yeah.
interesting characters from
True,
out.
true, true.
But now we don't have any. Now we have, but then we have our myths, our mythical figures as well. So they're a superhero. So yeah, I know.
Oh, definitely. We have more mythical heroes than any other, I think, culture or country in the world today would be there. That is great. So that's an interesting question. Did you ever feel like writing poems? From Anita. The question is from Anita.
Writing poem? No, never. I was never a poet by heart.
Okay. Related to the earlier comic question, do you read mangas? Do you read comics? What are
Oh,
your takes?
my wife does. My wife does. She's a huge fan of mangas. I have started reading and watching few some of them. I watched One Piece now. So definitely, and I love
Lovely.
One Piece. I think I should have watched it earlier before writing Sinbad. I would have definitely taken a lot from it. Now I
Oh,
think about it.
definitely.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as a reader, I think when I was reading Sinbad also, I was trying a lot to connect to Luffy.
Yeah.
I wanted to build that character. So
And
imagination of character.
that happened. So Sinbad and Luffy are very similar to each other. So they are.
Yes, they are.
So and I did it unconsciously. So I didn't know that Luffy. When I watched Luffy, I'm like, Arey, this is so
very
similar
similar.
to that. Yeah.
Oh, that would actually be great. And you admitting it as an author, I mean, that is going to be great. Great. So there is also this question. Do you meet other authors? Do you meet more authors often? And interacting with authors, how does that help with your inspiration?
Well, definitely. I think I meet a lot of authors on a regular basis. I think inspiration-wise, they have been very, very open about their journeys, and it's always good to learn from them and about what problems they faced and what do they do when they face those problems. So it's very interesting. Yeah. So definitely networking, going out, talking to more people, I think definitely gives you an insight towards the modern times. Because I feel that I am 5 years old now. 5 years old back, I mean, 2017, I was modern. Today, I'm not. And I have to keep learning and because if I don't learn, then I'll be, thrown back into the herd.
True.
And yeah, that's very important.
Like in any other industry, technically.
Any industry, absolutely.
Yeah. So there are two questions. I mean, same question from Anita and Jamil, Inshan. The same people, similar questions. Who was your favorite author, and what do you like about that?
My favorite author is, I don't have a favorite author. I love all authors equally, to be honest. I like, but though I like Rick Riordan. Again, I think Rick Riordan is a good author who really, really knows how to do it. But now when I read him, I'm not able to kind of connect because at that time when I was young, I was able to enjoy his books.
When you were in school, you could have connected it better. So is there any Indian authors' works that you really enjoy reading?
None.
Okay. And how many? So there is, okay, yeah, related to your books. So people here would like to know about which all are your books. How many books have you written and what are each of these books about?
Oh my God, that's a long answer.
I think you should still go ahead.
So I have written 13 books. First book is on Kalki Avatar. Second book is also on Kalki Avatar. Third book is a trilogy. Then it's a Narsimha trilogy, which is on the fourth avatar of Lord Vishnu. And basically, it's about Bhakta Prahlad, Narsimha, Hiranyakashipu all fighting each other. Then there is Meghnad, which is on the son of Ravan. Then it's Sinbad series, which are 3 books again about the greatest sailor of the world. And then there is Durga, which is on Goddess Durga, and basically it's a very fresh take on the entire Navratri. Then I think it's Yama. There's a book called Yama, which is basically about how AI and humans will kind of coexist. It's a very different take on it again, mixing mythical and myths and everything. I think that's it, I guess, right? I think
Karna, yeah.
Karna, yes, Karna. And Vikram Vetal also, which will be releasing on Audible, but it's not released. It is released actually. I think it's on Audible. You'll have to check it out.
Yeah, lovely. Kevin, an interesting yet personal question. The name Kevin Missile suggests that you are a Christian, but all the books that you talked about are Hindu mythology. How did that happen?
I am Indian.
Amazing, great, yes. I think that's the right answer to the question. But then seriously, Anand, how do you like in the current scenario, or do you ask this get this question asked a lot? Are you a Christian writing in the Hindu mythology book?
I think I've always been very observant and I've always been very curious. I'm curious about not just Hinduism. I'm curious about Islam also. I'm curious about Buddhism also. And I think it's always important to learn from every culture, every tradition out there. I think if you just stick to one, if you have a very skewed and a very myopic thought process that, hey, you know what, this is my religion, this is my own, I'm just going to read about that. I think that should not be it. I think every religion has its own beauty and it has its own, interesting takes on different myths. And I think, yeah, I mean, I think one should be curious and one should be, I think if you're surrounded with information and we're surrounded with knowledge, I think we are foolish not to take it. So, yeah.
Very true. I mean, that's really a beautiful take. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's something that we all need to hear today in today's scenarios. Okay, so there is questions from SSRVM, Anand. And what kind of feelings and experiences did you have when your very first book was published?
Very ecstatic, very ethereal, very fun, very enjoyable, very proud. Yeah, I think these are the feelings that I got. That very scared, very nervous too. So yeah, I hope people enjoy my book. Yeah.
That is true. There's a continuation question. How do you say a person should be disciplined in order to manage to be able to write consistently? Is there any advice from you on that?
Focus.
Okay.
I think one should focus definitely. I think whatever you're working on, just sit at it and not get distracted by all the things that are happening. Go in a secluded area, sit in the corner, and just put your mind to it.
What are your tips in terms of managing your focus, other than getting into a room and shutting the door?
That's the only tip I have.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing else I do. There's nothing else I do. I don't do any
Okay.
yoga. I don't do any meditation. In fact, I'll get refocused more if I do that. It doesn't
Okay.
work for me. It doesn't work for me,
Oh
unfortunately.
no. Oh
Yeah.
no.
But
Okay.
yeah, I just have to do. I know one thing that it's my work, and I have to sit at it and do it.
What has helped you to manage your passion towards writing on a consistent level? Do you read
Reader,
more? Do you do something?
no, I think readers love. I think readers keep pushing me to asking me what next, what next, what next. And
Lovely.
yeah, very happy with that.
Got it. That's really nice. Okay, there is a question regarding when you are not an author, who are you?
I am I'm a son, a husband, and an entrepreneur.
Can you elaborate on the entrepreneur bit?
I have my own startup called Hubbox. It was a marketing agency started for authors, debut writers. Eventually, I also started my own publishing, and eventually we are also going into book fairs and lit fest and everything. Our objective is eventually to become a centralized platform for all literary needs. So, yeah.
Amazing. Good luck with your business, which is running parallelly. There is a question from a principal from Bangalore. Do you often conduct sessions for young writers? If you do, what kind of sessions do you do for young writers?
Definitely, I do a lot of sessions. I talk about myths. I talk about writing in general. I talk about the publishing industry in general. I talk about the economics of publishing industry as well. Kids should know exactly, what they're getting into, what it means, how to be a writer, how to be a successful writer. Basically, these are the things I definitely, focus on.
Got it. There are again questions coming in from parents. If as parents, I would want to inculcate the habit of writing to my kids, what would you suggest my initial steps should be to get that interest into kids?
Make him write a journal, him or her, a journal. First, I have never written a journal because I never got the use. But I think journal writing is a very good way to start in terms of just writing your thoughts. Write for a day. Write what happened with you the entire day. Write an essay, for instance. Write your own scene, like a small scene. Definitely, once you get that thing, people can definitely inculcate the habit of writing.
Definitely. And the continuation question from the same person, Nagrita. What kind of researches do you do before your book, and how long do you spend time researching before you start a new book?
I think researching keeps going on. I think how much time I take is, I think, very subjective to the kind of topic I've taken. So if the topic requires a lot of research, definitely it takes me months and months to research. While if the topic doesn't require much, so I do it research while writing the book as well. So I think that really, I think, would answer your question. What was the first part of the question?
How much time do you take in order to research? How do you research and how much time do you take
How do you
researching?
do research is, I think we have Google Baba sitting right there. And everything is right there at the finger. I think we are in a very lucky period of our lives where we have everything at our fingertips. So I think you utilize that.
Given that you've spoken about journaling, I think there are questions coming up about journaling. How would you suggest somebody journal? What would you
Okay, first
suggest
of all,
for the
I have
kids to write?
never done journaling myself. This is a advice I have given because I have seen other people getting into writing a journal. So I have never written a journal, guys. I have never written a journal. I am not but yes, but what I've seen with other writers is it definitely has helped them. That's why I gave this advice.
Ah, got it. So while you write a lot of your work, I mean, you have been spending years writing. Is there can you give us an incident when you were writing something and you felt like, oh, I've done a wonderful job? Like any instances like that?
I think I wrote when I wrote Vikram Vetal, I think I had that feeling. I'm like, oh yeah, wow. Oh, I am. This is the kind of story I would read or listen to.
Lovely.
Yeah, I think I just loved how I connected vampires to an old fable and old folklore like Vikram and Vetal, and the villain is really good in that story, and the heroes are even better. And I think I had a lovely time.
So Vikram Vetal is not releasing as a book, right? But it's
I
only.
think it's released on Audible. It's only exclusively available on Audible.
Okay. Okay, guys, you need to go to not just buy the book, let's go listen to some books. Let's reduce screen time and then listen to some audio books as well in that case. Okay, there is a question about ghost stories. Can you please, I heard that you have written ghost stories. Can you please tell us about it?
I don't think so. I've written ghost stories. I think
you're talking about a thriller.
Yeah. I think I've written thrillers. Vikram Vetal is a ghost story, kind of like a ghost story. It's about vampires. And I think, no, I don't think so. I've never written a ghost story or a thrillers I write. I will make sure that I am very short chapters, twists and turns, cliffhangers. And I think high stakes. Yeah.
True. Okay, there's a list of personal questions from you. One, where are you from?
Delhi.
Are you basically from Delhi itself?
Yes, I'm a Delhi boy. I grew up in Delhi only. But I live in Gurgaon.
What are your okay. What are your hobbies?
Reading, writing.
Anything apart from that?
Game. I like to play games. I like to I like to watch shows. I don't know. That's not a hobby per se, but like I like to understand movies. I think that's really
okay. That's nice. Okay. There's an interesting question to you. If you come across a parent who has a 3-year-old child who would want to start reading for the child, what would your advice be?
I think it's too early.
Okay. For the kid to read or for the parent to read for the kid?
I mean, I personally feel that let the kid choose when they grow up a little bit, let them choose it themselves rather than, get them into reading or something.
Okay, interesting take. Cool. More personal questions. How many languages do you know? How many languages did your book release in? Which are the 2 languages you know?
English, Hindi.
Okay, and how many languages did your books release in?
10.
Wow, which are they?
Malayalam, Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Sinhalese, Hindi. I can't remember. 2, 3 more, I guess. Marathi. Yeah, I think I don't remember.
Okay. Now there is one interesting question. If you had to do something differently as a child or as a teenager, other than to becoming a writer, what would you have done?
Filmmaking.
Filmmaking. Interesting. Do you still have plans to go ahead with that?
Yeah, down the road. I have it's in my bucket list. Eventually, but I'll produce my own film down the road, not get distributor, get other producers as well. So yeah, it's in a bucket list.
Amazing. amazing. Okay. Shrujana, you were typing to me that you wanted to ask a question. I've given you permission. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask that while you were like creating stories and you were publishing books, what was your personal favorite book, like in your opinion?
As I said, Percy Jackson series. Yeah.
What was your first book you published?
Damon Black, The Battle of Lost Ages. You can't find it anywhere. It's a really bad book.
What if we want to try reading it sometime? Where do you go? Where do we go fish that out from?
You can't fish that out. It's unavailable.
Yes. Mayuka, your hand is raised. I've given you permission. You can unmute. Chinmay too. Jenil. Go ahead, guys. Janil, we were people who were continuously raising the hands. Do you have a question?
What made you an author?
What made you an author? Okay.
Boredom.
Okay.
Okay. It just literally said there are some more personal questions coming now. What is your favorite song?
Yesterday by Beatles.
Yesterday by Beatles. Beautiful song, nice selection. That's great. Okay, Nagrita has a question. Do you hide any secrets in your book that only a few people will find?
Yes.
Examples? Can you give us an example? Let's see
No.
if we have found
That's
anything.
why it's
Oh no!
That's why it's a secret. If I tell you that, that's not a
how would we
secret.
know that we found the secret? Where do we get to know that?
The ones who shall find will be the lucky ones.
Okay. I hope that I have found a lot of secrets. Let's see. Okay, Nakritik again has an interesting question. What was the best money you ever spent as a writer? Interesting question. Okay. What is the best spent as a writer?
My shadi.
Oh, I hope it did not come to a situation. If you hadn't been a successful writer, the shadi would not have happened.
No, it would have happened, but it would have not happened the way grandly it happened. So.
Oh, lovely. That's so sweet. You were telling that your wife is also very much into writing and comics, right?
Designing, yeah. She's in designing and illustrating.
Oh, lovely. Do you have fights related to comics are better or books are better?
No, I give in always. I don't fight.
Oh, that is so sweet. That is really nice. Okay, the question is regarding what is your next book?
Krishna, as I said, Krishna is coming.
This is coming up in November, you were telling me, right?
That's correct.
Amazing. If not mythology, what would the genre be that you would want to write in?
Thriller.
Thriller. Interesting. We really look forward to thrillers from you. More questions. Is there any book that you read that made you cry?
No.
Nothing at all. Oh my God. I have a number of books that I cried. I think I'm overreactive, oversensitive to books. I think I even cried yesterday. Okay. While writing a book, how do you manage your family, your passion, and your job? A question from Vidya. Basically, how do you manage personal and professional life?
Because I don't treat it as a personal or professional. I think it's a very unfair demarcation. I think both of them are lives, and I think both of them should coexist together. I think that personal professional wala thought process has come from corporate slavery, where
Very true.
where people are not happy with what they're doing, so they have created this personal life where they're happy and the professional life where they're unhappy. I think if you're happy in both the places, I think you'll be able to give time to both of them. So, yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. Shrujana has a question. Are your books published on Amazon? Shrujana, all of Kevin's books are available on Amazon. Please go ahead. And in fact, given that all of you are here and listening to Kevin right now, we've also, along with the Zoom link that you've received, we've also sent across a link in case you would want to get signed copies from Kevin. So we've already spoken to the school, we've spoken to the publisher. So if you are purchasing any of Kevin's book from the link that has been circulated to you, Kevin will personally sign them and then send it to your schools. You can pick it up from your schools directly. Okay, there are more questions filling in. How did you get this idea to pick up mythology as your genre? The question is basically about God. I'm rephrasing it to mythology.
It's very interesting to learn about the history, culture, tradition, and I think that's where it came from, the mythology angle. Because I was always interested. So whichever city I'm going for, whichever city I'm traveling, I always want to learn the history of it. I always want to understand where it has come from, what it has faced, and how it has come today. And I think somewhere deep down, I was always a history student, even though I always found history boring when I was studying it. But when I'm just curiously just skimming through it, I love history. So.
You were a history major also, right?
Yeah, I was a history major, yes.
So definitely your interest has been flowing out. There are many questions. What is your favorite subject? We've already covered it. When did you start your journey as an author? We've covered it. Is being an author hard?
Very.
How so?
I think you have to manage your expectations along with your readers' expectations.
Okay, that is true. That is actually true. Do you interact a lot with your readers?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Okay. There is also a question about whenever you get a feedback from your readers after they share any review with you, how do you work on that for later?
I listen to it and I feel that if it works well for my story, definitely I do that.
Amazing. Vidya wants to know if you ever got an opportunity to convert your books into motion pictures.
I never got an opportunity. Some people have bought my rights, but as in Bollywood, it takes forever to make something. So.
Okay. Any of your books that might come out as a movie? We would love to definitely watch it.
Yama is one. Yama might come.
Okay. There is a personal message being shared from Nagrita that although I am a Christian, I feel proud and happy to see you as a young Christian author. May God bless you with all the happiness, great success, and good health. Thank you so much, Nagrita. That was really sweet, actually. Write books about fantasy. Oh, do you write books about fantasy? Hansuja has been asking.
All books are mythical fantasies.
Yes. Bindu ma'am, you have a question. So Bindu ma'am has been
I wanted to ask right from the time you conceptualize the idea, your thought process till the time your book is published. What's the time frame normally? I mean, on a ballpark thing.
I think 1.5 years.
All right. Yeah. Interesting. Yes.
It's a question about which story is your longest.
Kalki 2.
Was it? I always thought Karna is your longest book.
Karna looks like a big book, but it's Kalki is just like shy of 5,000-10,000 words more.
Okay, interesting. So then the page thickness has deceived us.
They wanted that. The publisher wanted that.
That is nice. There has been continuous questions coming about Meghnad. The book Meghnad that you wrote. Can you tell us a little more about it and a little bit about the content in the book?
Meghnad is basically about the greatest warrior to ever lived, and why he surrendered to Lord Ram and Lakshman. So why is that big question that I answered the question?
Okay. Meghnad is, I think, just one of your books that I haven't read so far, so I have no comments regarding it at all. I have no idea what's going on. Kevin, what does your future look like? Do you have any dream in terms of how many books you want to get published?
No, I think future looks like is that I probably gonna be. I think I'm probably gonna be taking a pause from writing. I think I've written a lot of books, and I think I'm gonna take a sabbatical, take a break from writing for some time.
I think you're going to break your readers' hearts.
I think they have enough content to read for the next couple of
Okay.
years.
Readers like me have literally finished your content. I just have one book of yours that I haven't read. And of course, audiobooks. I'm not an audiobook fan, but then, yeah. Do you still keep spending money on buying books? Interesting question.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That never stops.
Okay. What is the latest book that you have read and what did you feel about it?
I was reading Richard Branson's autobiography. So I felt very happy because learned a lot from it.
Okay. What is your favorite book that you have read? I think we have already covered it. Do you keep photos on your book? Okay. Do you keep photos inside your book, illustrations inside your book? Technically, you don't. But I have a question regarding to that. So most of your books, I've seen that there is always some figures you write on it. It could be illustrations related to the map. It could be timelines. How do you come up with these? Do you do it by yourself or somebody else does it for you?
No, I don't do it myself. I think I commission someone else to do it.
Okay. Is there any topic that you always dreamed of writing, but you haven't done so far?
Science fiction.
Science fiction. Okay, interesting. Okay, I hope you got your answer. I think I've almost cleared all the questions and we are right dot on time. Great. I think we've cleared the entire question box. Amazing work. Thank you so much. Kevin, thanks a lot for your time today. Is there a quick advice that you would want to give to the teachers? Because we have a lot of teachers joined in today who are streaming the classes to the entire session for their kids in the classrooms. Is there, and what would the advice be for parents? And what would your advice be for the students who have attended your session today?
Advice would be that don't. I think academics and reading books can go hand to hand.
True.
I think if promote reading as much as you're promoting academics.
Amazing. That's true. I think that's something we can all agree to. Why SSRVM is doing this event today, or why Freadom is supporting them by coordinating this entire event, is only because they definitely wanted to bring in reading into their curriculum. And SSRVM, Kevin, has been an amazing part of Freedom journey so far. They're part of a lot of our programs. The kids have been using the app since years. It's not today or tomorrow that our relationship has started. So I think this is an amazing platform for you to be in today. There's just one last question from Nikat. What age group do you generally write for, or do you write more for?
Ageless.
Ageless. I think I agree to it. I've read most of your books. I agree to it. So guys, please go ahead and click. Unless and until I think you're a primary school student, we might be a little difficult to read through some of the books. But other than that, I don't think there's a limitations. Parents, teachers, students, all of you, go ahead. You can go ahead and get Kevin's book, and please go ahead.
Yeah.
Over to you, Bindu ma'am, for a last one sentence from her end. And I think it's 12:04. We've already crossed the time by 4 minutes, and I think we can slowly wind up from there.
That was really, really interesting. So nice. You spent so much of time and answered so many questions. In fact, each question was answered, right?
Each and every question.
Every
We
question
finished
was
the question and answer. We had a total of 145 questions. There were repetitions. Few of the questions I just skipped also.
Yeah.
There were questions like, did you write Harry Potter? Did you write Ramayana? Did you, there were some questions like that which I skipped, but other than that, yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Really, really appreciate this time you've spent with our students, teachers, parents. Really appreciate. Thank you so much for that. And we look forward to more sessions, maybe, you know, as some months go by. Best wishes for Krishna. looking forward as all the very best. And
Right.
thank you, Nagma. Thank you, Freedom team, for organizing this for us. And
Thank
thank you so much,
Our
Kevin.
pleasure, ma'am. It would not have been possible without your support,
Thank you
Ramaka's
so much.
support.
Yeah, Ramaka has been very
Enthusiasm has
instrumental
been
in this.
amazing.
Actually, we had a literacy week. In August, generally we have. So anytime in August, 1 week is spent towards. So since we didn't manage it in August, right? We were planning August because of Kevin's time and, in our preoccupation. So it split it over to September. But nevertheless, it happened. We are really, really happy. Thank you very much. Thanks to our students. Thank you so much for joining in. Some have their exams coming up of Monday, but even then they're here on the session. Very nice. Thanks, principals, teachers, parents, directors. Thank you very much. Thank you, entire team. Thanks, Stones to Milestones.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Kevin, for being here today. Thank you so much, Bindu, ma'am, for the entire organization. Hoping and looking forward to seeing a physical literature festival from SSRVM group.
We normally have it. We've had it physical in the past in 2020. Yeah, but after that COVID 2 years, then it didn't happen. Yeah.
Let's plan it again soon, ma'am. Yeah, with you. Let's do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Bindu, ma'am. Thanks to all parents,
Best
teachers,
wishes
and
to all.
students
God bless.
today. Yes, and have an amazing weekend and happy reading.